the beginning.
Rain pressed softly against the tall windows of the mansion. Inside, 3 siblings sat surrounded by piles of books, the air heavy with the scent of paper and ink. The library stretched upward in endless shelves, filled with every kind of story, maps of distant lands, fables written in gold, forgotten journals, and thick tomes whose titles had faded long ago. Vinny leaned against the arm of a large chair, with a thick book open across his lap. Ari sat cross-legged on the carpet, tracing words with her finger as she read aloud in a whisper. Eli sprawled on the floor, a book twice his size spread before him. Here, they felt most at home. The rest of the mansion was grand and silent, but this room seemed to breathe. The pages rustled softly, as though the stories themselves were alive. "Listen to this," Ari said suddenly, her voice full of wonder. "A story about a bridge that sings when people cross it." Eli looked up from his book. "What does it sing?" "Whatever the traveller needs to hear," she said, smiling. Vinny glanced over his own book. "That's clever. The author must have believed stories change depending on who reads them." They exchanged quiet smiles. The light from the lamp caught specks of dust in the air, tiny drifting stars. Around them, several books lay open, as if they too were listening. Each story seemed to echo another. Every world they entered through words felt connected, as if the library held one endless tale waiting for them to find its beginning. As evening deepened, the silence of the room began to shift. A faint vibration ran through the floorboards, too subtle to notice at first. Then, one of the books on the desk fluttered open by itself. Ari turned sharply. "Did you see that?" Vinny frowned. "The windows are closed." Eli giggled. "Maybe the book's trying to talk to us." The 3 of them gathered around the desk. The open book glowed faintly, the letters shimmering like ripples in water. The letters rearranged themselves, forming new lines none of them had seen before. The air around the page felt warm, pulsing softly, almost like breath. A hum began to fill the room, low and musical. One by one, other books stirred, covers quivered, pages flipped. The sound grew like a quiet chorus. Vinny whispered, "It's like they're waking up." Ari nodded, "Maybe they want to show us something." Eli's eyes were wide. "Then let's see it." The glow deepened. Letters rose off the pages and drifted through the air like sparks, swirling into shapes, circles, constellations, paths that led toward the ceiling. The siblings felt a gentle pull inside, not frightening, only certain. The library was alive, and it wanted them closer. Books lifted from the floor and shelves, spinning lazily in the air. The chandelier flickered, throwing silver light across their faces. The air thickened until it felt like water around them. Ari reached out and took Vinny's hand. Vinny reached for Eli's. The circle held firm as the light grew stronger. Eli's voice was small. "Vinny, what's happening?" Vinny looked at the glowing air around him. "I think the stories are opening." Ari smiled slightly. "Then we're about to step inside one." The light flashed. The room shook once softly. Then, with the sound of a giant page turning, Everything vanished. The three landed gently on unfamiliar ground. The air was warm and alive with distant sound. The library was gone. Around them stretched a landscape that shimmered as if drawn from imagination itself. Vinny stood slowly. "We're not in the room anymore." Ari looked at her hands and gasped, "We've changed." Eli turned in a slow circle, eyes wide. "The book brought us here." They looked at each other, startled, then amazed. Whatever world they had entered had reshaped them, fitting them into its story. Ari's voice was steady. "If this is where stories begin, maybe this is where ours starts too." Vinny nodded. "Then we find out what kind of world this is." Eli grinned. "Together?" "Always," Vinny said. They stepped forward side by side, their laughter fading into the vast, living world ahead. Three explorers crossing from words into wonder.